So then, same way the Native Americans were treated, these Americo-Liberians treated the neighbors, calling themselves Americo-Liberians to separate themselves also from the natives. And the natives meaning like, you're in Africa, but you got tribes. So they're in one part and they're dealing with outside. So then the more started moving, or started like I said, people were dying off, but they were still bringing people in, and these people started creating businesses and started doing the same thing, creating plantations, because there are certain things, mines, things like that are out there in those areas, things that they can grow that they weren't growing before. They brought that technology over there, and they started implementing that, and also implementing the Western way, the racist way. Racism moved from there over there. So, and this happened around the Native American treatment that started around like 1904. Like, I mean, early on, of course, but just saying, like, that big push where it became even more around in that area. So basically, they were enslaving. They started going out into these places where they're having problems with certain tribes and enslaving them. And enslavement meant maybe like a servitude, like you're a butler or something. You were brought to a certain standard, and then you were set out to serve. And if you were slave, you were treated. You were not to speak. You were only to speak when spoken to. They would. You couldn't, like, if you met a young lady that's a Liberian, you couldn't be in a relationship with her. Oh man, there's so many, everything that you would have to deal with in that slavery in the Western world. That's what they would do to the natives. Okay, so this is where, for me, it kind of stops, and then I'm gonna go into a little rant, because I remember growing up and watching a lot of different news reports, and then I've always been a skeptic of the news. I always felt like there were things that they were showing us, but there were things that they weren't showing us. Like, why is this going on in this country? When high school, we had a class where I can't remember what it was called, American something. They wasn't just dealing with America, but it was dealing with other countries, and we would see videos of other countries having wars, or the Rwanda thing, or the Uganda cannibalism, and Liberia would come up a lot. And growing up, I would learn about how one of the Liberian princes had relations with a German lady and conceived a child, and that child was treated differently in Germany. And he wasn't the only biracial child. That was actually a epidemic that they were having. What to do with these mixed kids? We're about to start a revolution with this Nazi party thing. What can we do with these mixed babies? And there was one that stood out that wanted to be a German soldier. He wanted to fight for the Nazi party. He ended up being the owner of one of the magazines. I can't think of what it is. Essence or Jet, one of them. Yeah, one of them. I can't think of which one. And yeah, it's crazy. So to see that stuff that went on in the Western world bleeds out, and it doesn't matter what color you are, it bleeds out into that because of a formal education. I mean, I'm sure if they would have tried to enslave people who were like, hey, what are you doing? Do not do that to me. I'm a human being. This is my house. You'd have to do a lot of probably the same thing. I'm sure they were saying that in their language, but I don't know. I guess to treat someone differently because they look different or speak different is frustrating, and it's something that we all do. I've even done it once or twice myself, not because they speak different or they look different. For me, it's some of the words that come out of people's mouths. If you are not sensible and you are still on racism stuff, and I mean, like, when I say on racism stuff, like, if you pro this, pro black, pro white, that's cool with me. Do what you want to do. That could be cool with you. I like people. I'm seeing outside of the box of just the color of my skin. I'm seeing how I've been raised. And not only just how I've been raised, how I've been raising myself. And seeing the things in this world that have been going on for a very long time that are wrong, that we need to look at, and then we need to move forward from. And when I find these things, I always take it back to society and how we live now and how we treat each other now. So yes, that's very important that we look at this, and then we realize on some of this is how we're treating each other. We look at each other and we treat each other different. It don't matter what color you are, but it's really bad when you're black or you're another color opposite of white. Because in this society, in a society that we've been brought up in, white has always been right and golden. That's what you want to learn from. You want to learn how to be successful from Elon Musk, or do you learn how to be successful from? Oh dang, I can't compare Elon Musk to like. I mean, do you want to learn how to be successful from a white person or a black person, or what do you prefer? Me, I don't care as long as it's success, and they're teaching me the right way, and I'm not hurting anyone. Throughout history, that's all that happens is people get hurt, and people have been hurting and dying and treating each other wrong. This right here, this is an example of, and I seen it because I see it in life, because this is the same thing that we live through here in America on a different level than what they do out there in Liberia, which flags look exactly like, except for instead of having 50 stars, they have one big star. Someone came there at gunpoint and colonialized this area for trinkets and some beads, a couple rifles, and then systematically took it over slowly. And then when it got handed down to who it was supposed to be handed down to, well, no, actually, that's not true either. This country of Liberia, this country, this state, or whatever they want to call it, of Liberia, has always been going through something. And just watching the news reports and seeing the videos, some of the documentaries on it, it's crazy that stuff actually stems from back in 1820 over the decision to make to change not once, well, once for some people, but twice for others. Because now that you can't own them, you don't want to see them. We're good enough to wipe your kid's ass, good enough to plow your fields, good enough to repair your items, good enough for you to take the women and rape, molest. Good enough to breed for work. But when you can't own them, you just dismiss them. And the slave owners, oh, I'll let you go, but you got to get on that boat immediately. I don't understand this world and why a colony of people who are trying to get away from something that was supposed to be unjust will go to another colony and do that to them and then spread that out to other. It's an infestation. It is. It's an infestation. Think about it. Because as far as slavery, I've said it before, it's $1 trillion industry. Colonies have been doing it to colonies. Tribes have been doing it to tribes. Societies have been doing it to societies. Groups of people will come into a group that doesn't know, knock off the leader, and take over. And there's nothing the people can do because they have this thing called a diplomacy. In words, things that you wouldn't understand. And we've put this on paper, and he signed our paper, and we own this place and the things on it. You need to move. Yes, you were born here. Your great, 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 great grandfather, grandmother, they own this land. But now we do. You own nothing. Birds, trees, whatever you're talking about. We own that. Now move. Move to a desert land. And then when they make the best out of that, you've got to move again. We've got to get you closer together. We don't want you tearing up and doing things. We got to watch you. Because we did you the way we did you. And so now we got to watch what you do. Which is the same thing that they do to the African Americans, the Native Americans, the Asian Americans, the Indian Americans, the Germanic Americans, the Russian Americans. It depends on what your class is. What your class is. See, these are societies of intellectuals. We are intellectuals, and we want to tell you what we think is right because we know, because we went to Harvard and Yale and some school in Wales. Really? So, superiority is the game. I've already said that before. It's going on right now where we have people who think they are superior, who are trying to run other people who they think are inferior. And it just needs to stop. Because when it comes down to it, we're all God's children. We all think we know what's best for the other person, but in reality, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's best for. I don't know what's best for everyone. I know what's best for my children right now, but I don't know what's best for you because you're not my child. You might be out there smoking crack. I know what I would do. I wouldn't smoke crack. But that's your thing. If that's what you want to do, I implore you not to. Please don't smoke the crack. But if that's what you do, then I'm not going to go out and stand out in front of your house and picket. I'm not gonna do all that. I'm gonna warn you of the thing, and then if you don't listen, and the only reason I'm warning you is because I might be a close friend of yours. You're just walking down the street smoking crack. I'm gonna take my kids and I'm gonna move the other way, and I'm gonna call the police and get you go ahead taken care of. You can't be walking down the street smoking crack. But other than that, I'm not gonna pick it outside of your house. I'm not gonna do anything like that. If you're wrong, then you're gonna pay for it. That's how God moves through people. People always are waiting for this miracle, right? We're always sitting here waiting for a miracle. Okay? You are that miracle. And don't take that to your head. I don't mean that in that way, like, I'm a miracle. No. The things that you do blindly for someone, that's a miracle. When you do it without thinking that, like, it's like, okay, I'm driving down the street. There's a guy sitting out on the side. I usually take the time and don't give to people sitting on the side of a road, because I've always been told that they'll just walk down the street, get in their car or RV or whatever, and that's it. You don't have no. You mean they got something, and you giving them something, and they don't need it. They don't deserve it. But sometimes I don't care. Sometimes when I'm at the store and I see somebody, I'm at the drive-thru and I pay for my food. I ask the lady at the window, how much is the person ordering behind me, and they'll tell me, and I'll pay it forward, in hopes that they pay it forward for the next person, in hopes that that person pays it forward for them, in hopes that that person pays it forward. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. To look and pay for somebody's groceries. Yeah, you here, that's my total. Now add their stuff up real quick. I got you. What you gonna do with that money? Sometimes there's times where you just waste money. I noticed that. I waste money. So sometimes I feel like if I'm gonna waste it, I'm gonna put it on somebody, maybe put a smile on their face, and maybe that money that they were gonna use, that was money that they needed to do something else, or maybe they might take that and bless somebody else. It's called being a human being. And regardless what you say about the Bible, it's teachings through that. And if you don't want to accept that, then it's just teachings of being a human being, not trying to take over someone. We do that in relationships. Somebody doesn't want you anymore. You want to know why? I've done that. Why? Because they don't want you anymore. They're done. You're done. You seen it coming. Maybe you didn't. Regardless, there's no need to explain why. It's time to move forward now. So we get this information, and we move forward. And we move forward through God. We move forward with forgiveness. We move forward with love, and we learn how to treat not only ourselves right, but others. Because nobody in this part of history that I've told you was right, except for the people who were against this forced movement. It was a forced movement. These people didn't want to go, but they went. They had to. And then they brought the teachings that were taught to them since some of their upbringings. Just like the ones who stayed, they brought a lot too. They taught a lot too. But not to other races. Not only to other, ethnicities, but our own. But it's funny. The diseases bled out even to the community that spread it, because they've been spreading it to each other for the longest. Everybody thinks this come from this come from that. This is disease. This is better than the Black Plague, because you'll die eventually, but your soul won't be clean. You get that? Ain't that something? like that feeling that you feel that's negative of someone for no reason, or because you have a reason, but you can't accept and forget that and move forward. Or you can't just treat someone like a human being. You can't just be civil and be a person to someone else. I see it every day. I deal with it every day. Every day. Every day. Like, seriously, I deal with it every day. We've got to do better as a people. We're at war. Well, we're not at war. We're at home. But there are people at war out there in other countries with countries because of people who are bad. And people back those people who are bad. And people who are against those people who are bad too. It's just all a bad thing. Well, why has it got to be war? We know we could destroy each other. We've been doing that for the longest. How about loving each other? How about Putin and Biden get together and give each other a big hug, and that other president guy, and just say, you know what? Let's do this right. This world has been messed up for so long. Let's do this right. But you can't, because nobody ever is going to get on. It's always going to be somebody thinks they're superior over someone else, or higher or better than someone else. Just because you're a doctor, just because you're a lawyer and you make millions of dollars, or you're whatever, that doesn't mean that you're superior. It doesn't. But also, I see that knowledge is the key. And what you don't know will hurt you. You have to know in order to grow. And these people throughout history have learned a lot of things the hard way. And a lot of people have not made it back, or have not made it through these learnings. And so we need to pray for those people. All this just doesn't make sense. All of this, that doesn't make sense. I've never understood racism. I've never understood the part where someone is, better if you play. I can't play basketball, so if you can't play basketball, if you could play basketball better than me, you're superior in that to me. My little brother Isaac would invite you over to his house just to kick your ass in Madden. And he would do it with finesse. And when he kicked your ass in Madden, he talked shit, because he was superior to you on that. He'd take the ball right out your hand and go run with it. You just sitting over there looking stupid on a big screen. I don't know how good he is now, but back in the day, he was cold. I didn't want to mess with him. I hated going over his house because he wanted me to play. And he knew I was going to play because I wanted to beat him. We're not in a competition. Only when we're in a competition. But in life, we're not in a competition. We have to take care of the things that we have to take care of. I'm not superior to you, and you're not superior to me. God is superior to all. God is king. This is Michael Porter, ending my rant on That Doesn't Make Sense. Hey, while I got you on here, you can catch me on Instagram. You can email me on Facebook. You can... Pretty soon I'll have merch. For Sneaking Into the Movies, you can catch me on the same things. Patreon on both of them. That Doesn't Make Sense. Patreon.com. Sneaking Into the Movies. Patreon. Support. Donate. Show some love. That artist, Black Spade, thank you for the connection. That was awesome. Check out his music. He's very popular, not just here in St. Louis, Missouri, but worldwide. Check him out. You're gonna love it. I loved it. Can't wait for the new one coming out. Not gonna say nothing else about that. I'm out.